Alright guys, let's go into the trade breakdown for today and why I was able to flip my bias from long to short. So this is NASDAQ on the daily chart, and this is for tomorrow, so we can remove that. So if we go back in replay mode and then we mark out previous day high and low, the price was opened up inside of the previous day's range, so that's why I had that on my chart. And so if we look at this, we can anticipate price to, or what I'm looking for before I engage in price is I need one side of the range to get hit. And so in this case, in a bullish scenario, which is exactly what I was, because we look at the 4 hour, we have this high and this high as a draw, right? And if we're going to reverse, we have this 4 hour order block here paired with this 4 hour swing low. So if this gets hit, or once these levels get hit, I'm expecting some sort of reaction. And you can see it's a nice reversal candle here during the London session. And then we have an expansion candle shortly afterwards. And this was at 8:30 news. And so CPI, or not CPI, NFP is confirming what I'm looking for. And so if I'm looking for a continuation into this high above here and higher, then I need my next key time, which is 9:30, to do something to either retrace or continuously expand through these highs, and then I could potentially look for some sort of move to get on side. So I typically like to use during the New York session is like a 15-minute or higher PD array. Sometimes I'll use the 5, but not around 9:30 open. So in this case, my focus is on this upper 15-minute fair value gap because in an expansion phase of price, we do not want to see deep retracements. And the other thing that I had my eyes on was this hourly breaker. And so we can mark that out as well. And why is this a breaker? Well, you have a low, a high, and a lower low, and then you have a higher high. And normally when you have a strong close above the high, that typically is where you get the best reaction from. But that is why you have to take everything with a grain of salt. So getting towards the 9:30 open, we can see prices sort of consolidating, and then we get this. So 9:30 open highs first, and then comes back into the range. And so as soon as I saw this finally got a decent retracement into the 15-minute gap, I'm looking for now that continuation signature. And all I'm looking for is a candle closure above the opening price. And you can notice that now price is getting deeper and deeper into that 30-minute window right before that 10 a.m. candle. And we know when we're looking for an expansion, this is not an ideal form of price action, especially when you can start to see that we're getting larger down close bodies candles. And when you pair that with SMT with RTY, the 8:30 high was never taken. That gives me sort of a bearish sign. And also, these stronger assets, which was supposed to be RTY and YM, why are they quote unquote stronger? Well, they had SMT at previous daily low. And so if you look at this is that previous daily low right here. And that's where the SMT occurred. And when I see this, these are supposed to be the stronger assets. And here is previous daily high as that draw. 8:30 is hitting that draw. And if I'm looking for a continuation, again, same thing. All I'm looking for is a 15-minute or higher PD array. And then we can look for that continuation signature. And if we look, the PD array was tapped, never closed above. Now we have a bearish SMT. And now NASDAQ and ES, all of these names, YM, they're all turning lower. And if you look, we have um, this again failed to close above on ES as well here. So when I see both of these names starting to fail continuously, and we're getting closer to this 10 a.m. candle, this is the last area that I'm allowing price to reverse from. And if we look at the hourly chart, this was a small hourly bullish for value gap. That is not something normally that you would want to look to support price. And you can see that this is a very nasty hourly candle closure. That this is not a trait of an expansion candle. And so the last thing that I was looking for was potentially that price could use the EQ of this previous range to then trade higher. And so what I was looking at that allowed me to flip my bias was this Let me find it on ES first. So there we go. Price is at EQ. This is the only last area that I'm allowing price to form some sort of a reaction from. And when I was looking at this, I was looking at the 3-minute, and then eventually I went to the 2-minute. And I was looking at the 3-minute just because there was a fair value gap up here on ES. If I go back, I'm going to have to refine it again. But Wednesday, here we are. This was this 3-minute fair value gap here on ES. And if you look at NASDAQ, there was no 3-minute fair value gap up here. So to me, I was using this as an SMT fill. And if we go back to the 2-minute, and we go back to the same area on both indices, or both futures indexes, you can see that price is creating this opposing candle here. And this was the last area that I'm allowing price to reverse from, which is the EQ of the range. And once we create these SMT here, and then both indices are closing below their opening price, that to me is all I need to see for me to know that I should be going short. And now I have what? I have a draw of the 830 candle, and all of this is a failure swing to that London low down here. As soon as I saw this, I have my limit order at the low of the order block. This is what my risk looked like. I was short here. My stop loss was on the high, and my take profit was the entire low down here. This is a little bit of an over a 3-hour trade. We continue to play price. This just knifed right through. And so that is how I was able to flip my bias, understanding that this is invalidating everything that I'm looking for. And when you have a failure to manipulate, that means you're going to expand. And so this is the only possible level that I was allowing price to continue to, or to potentially reverse from. Pairing that with the bearish SMT, that was enough for me to flip my bias and take the short. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask anytime, and I'll see you guys in the next one.